The stars bowed to the Vascari dominion for over 10,000 years. Their empire had ruled the galaxy. No rebellion lasted more than a day. No alien voice dared speak without permission. Entire species vanished without leaving dust if they disobeyed. The Vascari weren't just rulers, they were gods. Their ships floated like black daggers across every system. Their flags burned red across planets both rich and ruined. And at the center of it all, on the capital world Varnaxis, sat the Emperor. The council chamber was silent. 12 tall figures, all Vascari lords, stood at attention. A thick shadow covered the golden floor as the Emperor stepped forward. His voice echoed like thunder in a cave. We are eternal. We are the first, and we will be the last. The galaxy bends because we hold the stars in our fist. No species dares resist us. The lords bowed. The Emperor continued. Send word to the outer colonies. Begin harvesting from the Drayland slave sectors. If they refuse the new taxes, wipe them out. But before the orders could be sealed, a red light blinked on the side of the room. A scout officer from the Fringe Exploration Wing appeared on the holoscreen. He looked nervous. Too nervous for a soldier. Apologies, Supreme Voice. We picked up a strange signal. The council members frowned. Strange, one of the lords asked. Explain. The officer hesitated. Then he turned, showing the signal waveform. It was old, raw, full of noise, but beneath the static, a pattern repeated every 12 seconds. 3 tones, 1 voice, and 1 set of coordinates. We traced it back to a dead zone near the edge of the Orion spiral. The officer said, a world that was once Earth. The chamber fell silent. Earth, the Emperor whispered a second later. All screens displayed an ancient record. Earth, Class 7 Death World status destroyed 5,000 years ago, during the pre-collapse wars. Civilization, human, aggressive, extinct. The Emperor narrowed his eyes. No species sends a signal from the grave. Elsewhere, on Outpost 9X, deep on the edge of known space, a patrol ship was launched to investigate. Captain Rolver, a proud Vascari, commanded the ship. His orders were clear. Scan, record, return, do not engage. He didn't expect anything. Dead planets stayed dead. But when they reached orbit over the signal's origin, they saw something strange. The planet wasn't empty. There were no cities, no lights. But there was a structure, a tall, dark tower standing in the middle of a cracked wasteland. It pulsed once every 12 seconds. The same rhythm as the signal. Rolver ordered a drone to descend. It hovered close to the tower and scanned. Its surface. Ancient steel, human alloy, pre-collapse technology. But not rusted, not broken, still active. Suddenly the tower responded. A blast of electromagnetic energy struck the drone. The screen went black. Then another signal came up on the Vascari ship's screen. Clear this time. A voice, male, human. This world is under Earth's protection. All who approach will be judged. Rolver stood up from his command seat. What is this? Who dares? Another message followed. Just 3 words. We are watching. The Vascari crew panicked. Orders were shouted. Trace the signal. Raise shields. Send for backup. But before they could act, the ship's systems began to fail. Artificial gravity spun off balance. Screens flickered. Engines hummed too loud. Then a full shutdown. The warship floated helplessly in orbit. No weapons, no thrusters, no AI, just silence, and one last message on the screen. Return to home. Tell them Earth is not dead. Back on Varnaxis, the Emperor stood still as the report came in. The warship had returned, but empty. Not a single crew member remained. No damage, no trace of a fight, just the hull and something carved into it. Send more. I'm not finished. The council lords looked at one another. Whispers filled the chamber. Could it be? Impossible. They were erased, weren't they? One lord finally asked, is this really Earth? The scout officer, pale, nodded slowly. He projected the final signal trace on the screen again. No doubt. Same encryption, same tone, same language. Then came his final words, quiet, almost a whisper. Sir, the signal matches pre-collapse Earth tech, but Earth was destroyed. The Vascari High Council was in chaos. The return of their warship completely empty had shattered the illusion of control. 10,000 years of domination had made them arrogant, and now they were afraid of a name they once erased from history. Earth. Inside the Imperial War Chamber, the Emperor stood before a massive galactic display. We ruled because we erased all threats, he said quietly. If Earth still exists, it means we failed. A council lord replied, it's only one planet, one signal. Let us destroy it. The Emperor raised a hand. No, first we observe, then we crush. The outer edge of the Orion spiral, near the signal's origin, Fleet Commander Rocco's prepared his assault group. He commanded 5 Imperial battlecruisers, 1 planetary siege ship, and hundreds of drones. Their orders were clear: make contact, force surrender, take the source. If they resist, erase them. As they neared the strange planet, sensors began to jam. Radar turned blind. Targeting systems blinked with errors. No ships in orbit, no satellites, no defenses detected. Still, Rocco's didn't trust it. Deploy drones. He ordered. Hundreds of drones flew from the siege ship. scanning the planet's surface. Most of it was desert and stone, cracked dead. Except one spot, a tower, metallic, ancient, unbroken, the same as before. Then something stepped out of it. At first they thought it was a machine, humanoid, tall, black armor, no heat signature. Then it moved like a living being. Fast, controlled. It looked up at the sky as if it could see the fleet from the surface, and then it spoke. I warned you. You came anyway. Suddenly, the screen on Rokos's command deck went black. A new feed took over. The face of the armored being appeared, a human face, calm, serious, eyes like steel. I am the Sentinel of Earth. I remember your empire, and I remember what you did. The room fell silent. This was no primitive species, no child race playing with old tech. This was a weapon, a mind built for war, and it was human. Ral Kos growled. Target the tower, fire. All 5 ships aligned their weapons. A full orbital strike. 5 beams of red energy poured from the sky. They struck the ground, melting rock, burning, sand, destroying everything. A crater appeared where the tower once stood. Sensors confirmed total destruction. Rokos laughed. So much for your ghost stories. But then a second signal. Stronger, clearer. Did you think I would stay in one place? The voice said. Earth doesn't build statues, it builds backups. From the edge of the system, another signal flared. This time, a ship appeared. It didn't match any known design, old tech but upgraded, reinforced with stolen Imperial alloys. The ship moved with quiet grace, small but confident. The Imperial fleet turned to face it. Just one ship, the officer said. They send one. Rokos raised his hand. Destroy it. The siege ship locked on and fired. A beam of plasma hit the strange vessel, but as the light faded, the ship was still there, untouched. Suddenly every Viscari ship went dark. Power off, lights out, systems frozen. Inside the bridge, Rokos shouted. What happened? Then, the screens turned on. One image filled them all. The human's face. You use technology we invented. We see every signal, every weapon, every thought. You ruled the galaxy with our stolen bones. Now it's time you answer to what you buried. Rokos reached for his pulse rifle. Too late. A pulse went through the bridge, non-lethal but enough to paralyze. All across the fleet. Weapons disarmed. Engines failed. Ships drifted back on Earth. Deep in the old control facility, the Sentinel stood surrounded by monitors. His voice was cold, controlled. 10,000 years ago, you attacked us. You said we were wild, primitive, dangerous, so we vanished. We erased ourselves to wait. He watched as the Imperial ships floated helpless above the desert planet. And now, we return not to conquer, but to end the lie that you are untouchable. On Varnaxis, the Emperor watched the live feed in horror. His greatest warships, defeated without a single human shot fired. Not by fleets, not by armies. By one man. Who is he? One of the lords whispered. The Emperor's jaw clenched. Find him, kill him, burn Earth if we have to. Another counselor asked, what if others follow him? The Emperor didn't answer. He just stared at the signal map, red dots blinking. Across the galaxy, Earth's signal wasn't spreading. It was activating old codes, hidden relays, dead satellites. Silent beacons like Earth had always been there waiting. Final scene back on the crippled flagship. Rokos watched helplessly as the strange ship approached. It didn't fire, it simply passed overhead, close enough for every soldier to see the mark on its hull, a broken chain. And beneath it, one word, humanity. Final line, end of part 2. You ruled the stars because you forgot us. The Sentinel whispered. Now, we remind you. The Voskari Empire was shaken. For 10,000 years. Their rule had never been questioned. No species had ever resisted them and survived. But now, their most elite fleet had returned crippled and silent after facing one human. The video footage spread through secret networks like wildfire. Alien species in hiding watched it in awe. Former rebels, exiled scholars, even criminals turned freedom fighters, all watched one thing. A lone ship drifting above a desert world. A human face staring directly at a Voskari warship. And then the voice. We remember, we are not gone. Voskar. Prime the inner council room. Emperor Thalen stood alone before the stars. Behind him, his advisors whispered, argued, trembled. Some wanted to send more fleets. Others warned of spreading panic. The Emperor raised one hand. Silence fell. He turned toward the room. For generations we erased the truth, he said coldly. We buried the records of Earth, lied about their extinction. Now we face the result of our fear. One lord stepped forward. But your grace, it's just one man, one ship. The Emperor's eyes flared. One man dismantled a fleet, without firing a weapon. What do you think 10 of them could do, or 100? Meanwhile, on planet Jorawana mining colony, a group of alien workers huddled around a smuggled holopad. They played the video of the human again. The words rang in their ears. You ruled with stolen bones. Now you answer to what you buried. One miner whispered, Earth survived. Another muttered, maybe we don't have to live like slaves anymore. By nightfall, the Voskari officers on Jorawan were dead. The rebellion had begun. Elsewhere inside the Sentinel ship, the Sentinel, still alone, floated near the ruined planet. His ship, the Revenant, was small but alive. Every system hummed, with purpose. Monitors blinked as new signals lit up across the galaxy. Old Earth satellites once hidden under deep code were waking up. Signal 41 activated sector Zatanine Echo Protocol online buried Earth network reactivating. He stood at the command interface. Silent, he wasn't smiling, he wasn't angry, he was focused. I was never meant to be the only one, he whispered. They thought we'd die in silence. We didn't. Then, a message came through encrypted old Earth code. He opened it. A single line appeared. Revenant, we hear you. Awaiting instruction. Back on Voskari capital, damage control news of the failed assault leaked through black channels. The Empire tried to suppress it, but it was too late. Whispers grew into rumors. Rumors became fire. Earth returned, a death world species. Worse than the old legends, the Empire couldn't stop them. Panic spread. World after worlds, more colonies, border worlds. Mining systems began disobeying imperial orders. One colony sent their tribute late. Another refused entirely, and in the center of it all, a symbol began to appear, a broken chain. Aboard a pirate cruiser, the broken fan Captain Vask, a former imperial bounty hunter, stared at the strange message broadcast into her system. She knew that signal, Earth encryption long lost, considered myth. She looked at her crew. We've hunted rebels for years, burned cities, crushed uprisings. She paused. But what if we were the wrong side of history? Silence. Then one of her crew said, if Earth is back, the galaxy might change. Another said, then maybe it's time we stop being tools. Captain Vask stood up and set a new course. Find that human. If he's real, we join him. Meanwhile, in a hidden facility on Mars, far beneath Mars's dead surface, a signal beacon lit up. The facility had been buried for 5,000 years. Inside, cryopods hissed open one by one. Humans stepped out, their eyes glowing faint blue from neural implants. An AI voice greeted them. Protocol Echo has been triggered. Sentinel Revenant is active. Earth's enemies have returned. The oldest among them smiled. Then it's time to remind the galaxy who we are. On the fringe world of Raltera, Merchant Guild received a strange offer. A small black box landed outside their main hall. Inside, they found a datapad with a single file. Trade routes once used by Earth, safe zones, defense coordinates. The file was signed from the ghosts you forgot. The guild turned off their usual trade with the Empire. That day, Doughton sent supplies to the growing rebellion in a dark council meeting. The Emperor sat in silence behind him. The map of the galaxy began to change. Blue lights, once rare, now spread from sector to sector. Not fast but steady. He knew what it meant. Earth wasn't attacking with weapons. They were using truth. Their existence alone was enough to start a fire the Empire couldn't control. He leaned forward. Find the Sentinel, he growled. Bring me his head. Or bring me his world. Final scene. The Sentinel's next step in orbit above a quiet moon. The Revenant came to a stop. The Sentinel looked down at the surface. He activated a deep frequency so old, even the stars had forgotten it. From the moon's core, something stirred. Buried metal moved. Old tech, HUMMED. A vault opened. And inside, an entire armory built from Earth's last age. AI-guided weapons, prototype ships, tactical mines in stasis. The Sentinel placed his hand on the console. You ruled the stars without us, now we're taking them back. The moon was old, broken, covered in dust and stone. But deep below its surface, Earth's fire still burned. The Sentinel stood in the heart of the forgotten vault. He was surrounded by rows of cryopods, machines locked in hibernation, and weapons that hadn't seen light in 5,000 years. The vault's walls flickered with projections, maps, codes, battle simulations, all of it human, all of it alive. He pressed his palm to the central interface. Activate Protocol Rebirth, he said. The vault responded. Command confirmed. Opening Earth Vault 7 Orion Sector. Across the galaxy, long dormant systems woke up. One in the rings of Saturn, one beneath the acid clouds of Venus, one hidden in the asteroid fields near the edge of Voskari territory. They weren't just bunkers, they were hiding places built when Earth knew it couldn't win, yet refused to truly die. Inside, each old warrior stirred, some human, some part machine, some entirely AI, and all of them had the same thought when they woke. Has it begun? On the rebel world of Draxonine, the people had heard the rumors. A human had defeated a Voskari fleet. The council called it fake lies, propaganda. But then the sky changed. Dozens of Voskari warships appeared, preparing to punish the rebellion. The defenders, weak and tired, gathered their small fleet. They expected to die, but before the battle began, a single black ship dropped out of hyperspace. It bore no known flag, it sent no signal, and yet, it moved with the calm of death itself. From its underside, a message was projected into the skies. Of Draxonine, this world is under Earth's protection. The Voskari ships laughed, then opened fire. For 6 seconds, nothing happened. Then, every Voskari ship froze in place. Their shields collapsed. Engines overheated. Guns melted from inside. No one understood how. And then the ships turned against each other, controlled by something. or someone. Within minutes, the fleet tore itself apart in a fiery chain of explosions from orbit. The people of Draxonine watched, speechless. The strange ship vanished without a word. But they would remember the name carved into the sky. Humanity still lives. Back in the vault, planning begins. The Sentinels stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. Dozens of blue sparks glowed across it, places where old Earth tech had awakened. But there was one place still untouched, Voskari Prime, the heart of the Empire, the place where Earth's death had been signed, the place where their revenge must begin. From behind him, a voice spoke. I never thought I'd see this again. The Sentinel turned. A woman stepped out of cryo. Her name was Commander Lyra Vossert's last fleet strategist. She blinked slowly, still adjusting to the light. You activated the vaults. She said. That means they attacked again. The Sentinel nodded. They never stopped. They just thought we'd finally stay dead. The plan. Echo storm inside the moonbase. The old Earth minds assembled. Not just people. AI advisors. Orbital weapon code. A living map of the galaxy. And together they began forming a strategy called Echo Storm. Reactivate Earth's hidden satellites in Imperial space. Expose the Voskari's war crimes records stolen from their own systems. Inspire rebellion in oppressed worlds. Strike one core world, not to destroy but to show the Empire's weakness. The message was simple. We are back, and we're not afraid of you. On Voskari Prime, Fergros Emperor Thalan sat in his throne room, watching news feeds flicker with panic. Mining worlds refusing shipments. Slave species fighting back. Pirate fleets suddenly defending merchant convoys, and worst of all, no sign of the Sentinel. He hides in shadows, the Emperor growled. He is nothing but a myth. But the words felt weak, even to him. Then an officer rushed in. Your Grace, someone broke into the Empire archive. All your war footage, genocide files, hidden experiments. It's being broadcast across thousands of systems. The truth was no longer buried. The galaxy didn't just fear the Voskari anymore. It now hated them. Final strike. Planet Keveris. Keveris was a jewel of the Empire, a trade world. Fortified, controlled by fear, that made it the perfect target. As Voskari ships patrolled its orbit, a storm came not of thunder, but data. AI viruses. Signal disruptors hacked. Defense codes. In under 5 minutes, Keveris lost all power. Then Earth's fleet arrived. 5 ships, old, silent, black. The defenders laughed until their own weapons turned inward again. One by one, the capital's towers fell, and in the skies above, a new message echoed. This is Earth. We're still here, and we never forgot. Final scene in the moon vault. Commander Voss stared at the new rebel. The Voskari throne world was in chaos. The Council of Lords, once proud and silent, now shouted over each other in panic. One slammed his fist on the table. We are losing control of the outer systems. Another snarled. Rebellions rise on 10 colonies every day. It's that cursed Earth signal. But none dared speak too loudly. The Emperor sat in silence, eyes glowing like coals. They wanted to die in shadows, he whispered. Let's burn every shadow. He stood. Begin Operation Ashstorm. Operation Ashstorm purged the old tech across hundreds of systems. Voskari warships began a brutal sweep. Their mission: destroy anything even rumored to be connected to Earth. Ancient hidden satellites hunted civilian stations with suspicious software wiped from orbit. On planet Velkar 3, the skies turned red as the Empire glassed a research colony that had uncovered old Earth alloy. No mercy, barked the Voskari admirals. If it whispers of Earth, it dies. Meanwhile, the vault on Mars wakes up far from the chaos. A second Earth vault fully activated. Deep beneath Mars's icy crust, a network of black drones blinked online. An AI voice echoed through the stone corridors. Mars Vault Theta online. Initializing Death World Contingency Protocol. Crates opened, weapons forgotten by history hovered in silence. Some pulsed with blue plasma, others shimmered with cloaking fields. One mechanoid unit stepped forward. Its armor bore an old Earth flag scarred but proud. It said only, "Where is the Sentinel?" Aboard the Revenant, the Sentinel reviewed the data coming in. More Empire attacks, more civilians dying, more ancient tech erased. Commander Lyra Voss stared at the screen. They're trying to stop the truth from spreading. The Sentinel replied, calm but sharp. Truth is fire. The more they fight it, the faster it burns. A signal lit up on the console. Transmission from Vault Theta, Mars status. Fully operational. Awaiting orders. The Sentinel's eyes narrowed. Begin Exodus Protocol. The Empire's desperation. Emperor Thalan watched the star charts shift. Systems once marked as loyal now flashed. Red-Rebellion. Others flickered. Blue Earth activity confirmed. He turned to his science advisor. What do we know about the human Sentinel? The advisor hesitated. Unknown, possibly a reconstructed AI-human hybrid, fully integrated with pre-collapse technology. Tactical class, unstoppable by standard military force. The Emperor's jaw clenched. Then we create a countermeasure. He summoned a black project, Project Godspear. The plan: build a weapon so massive, so final it could pierce any vault, any ship, even a planet's crust. Its target: Earth's homeworld. Back at the vault, the Sentinel stood before a long dark panel. This was always their goal, he told Lyra. If they can't silence us, they'll try to erase the cradle of our kind. Lyra whispered, but Earth is still hidden, right? He nodded slowly. Yes, but not forever. Their technology improves and we taught them too much. He opened a file. Vanguard Protocol, Final Defense. If they ever find Earth, we won't defend it with fleets. We'll defend it with everything we are. The recruitment to face the coming war. The Sentinel needed more than ghosts. He needed the living. So he sent a signal dot to rebels, to pirates, to smugglers, to enslaved races who had lost everything. The message was simple. We don't ask for your loyalty. We ask for your anger. Join us not for Earth, but to end the empire that stole your stars. On planet Tursai, an exiled alien engineer whispered, I saw their warships fall with no shots fired. On San's belt, a mercenary muttered, if Earth tech can kill the empire, count me in. Within weeks, hundreds of rogue ships formed under Earth's symbol, a growing fleet, not an army. Stormed up the return of ghosts at the edge of the Orion expanse. A massive ship blinked into view, dark gray, sharpened angles. Built during Earth's final days, it had no name on record, no registry, no living crew, but it still flew. The AI inside whispered, Directive, defend humanity. It joined the Revenant in orbit above Kavaris, awaiting orders, and from the shadows, other old war machines began to stir. Some didn't look human anymore, but they remembered why they were built. Final scene, the calm before the fire in the command chamber of the Revenant. The Sentinel stood before the gathered leaders of the rebel fleet. Species from every corner of the galaxy, scars on every face, fury in every heart. He raised a hand and pointed at the map. The Empire has gathered its forces. They're building something big. Our sources say they call it the Godspear. He paused. It's meant to strike Earth directly. Gasps filled the room. One alien asked, where is Earth? The Sentinel replied, you don't need to know. You only need to help us make sure they never find it. He looked each of them in the eye. We don't ask you to die for Earth. We'd ask you to fight for everyone they've crushed. The stars were quiet. Too quiet as the rebel fleet passed into the heart of Oskari space. No warships met them, no interceptors, no scans. Commander Lyra Voss narrowed her eyes. It's a trap, she said. The Sentinel stood calmly at the helm of the Revenant, watching the void. Of course it is. That's why we're not going in alone. He gestured to the main screen. Dozens of ghost ships, old Earth designs, rebuilt by awakened AIs, fell into formation around the rebels. Ships with no crew, ships older than the Empire itself, ships that Earth had buried and programmed to return only when called. The Voskari believed they had broken Earth, but Earth had only gone quiet to prepare. Inside Voskari, High Command Emperor Thal watched from his throne room as holograms flickered to life. His admirals stood before him, nervous, quiet. He slammed his fist on the rail. They march into our space and meet no resistance. An admiral stammered, Your Grace, the Godspear is not yet ready to fire. We needed to stall, then stall them with blood. The Emperor roared. The throne room dimmed. A deep voice echoed from the floor below. Let them come, it said. All turned to look down. Below, the Emperor's throne was a chamber, one never shown to the public. Inside it, a black cube, a machine the Empire had found buried in the ashes of a human ruin. They had studied it, tortured it, modified it. Now it spoke. Let them gather. Let them see your power. The Emperor looked down at the cube. This was the Empire's deepest secret. The Echo Remnant captured human war AI, twisted by Voskari hands. Meanwhile, at the edge of Voskari core space, Sentinel stood before the gathered fleet. His voice echoed through every command bridge, every rebel ship, and every AI-controlled warcruiser. This is not just a battle. This is a message. He pointed toward the center of the star map, Voskari Prime. For 10,000 years, they ruled with fear. But we carry something greater than fear. We carry memory. He held up a small device, an old Earth artifact, a steel dog tag. This belonged to the first man the Empire ever killed from Earth. They thought no one would remember. They were wrong. The battle begins. Skies afire when the rebel fleet reached the border system of Delantris. The trap was sprung. Thousands of Voskari ships dropped out of hyperspace. Massive, aggressive. The rebel commanders hesitated. Commander Voss spoke first. We're outnumbered. The Sentinel nodded once. We always were. He turned to his AI co-pilot. Release the silence protocol. Across the rebel fleet, Earth warships shimmered. They vanished from scans, vanished even from sight. Cloaking tech long thought impossible. VA, Skari ships fired wildly, confused, and then Earth struck. From behind, below, within, cloaked ships tore through enemy lines. Precision, cold efficiency. Zero emotion. AI-piloted destroyers flew into enemy formations and detonated with perfect timing on the ground. Message to the people. Dozens of Voskari slave worlds. The battle played out on stolen broadcasts. Aliens chained in mines looked up and saw something new. Voskari ships burning, Earth ships rising, the symbol of the broken chain glowing in the sky. And then, the voice of the Sentinel. This is Earth. You are not alone. If you stand now, we'll stand with you. Across 100 planets, slaves broke their chains. Not because of weapons, but because of hope. Back in the Empire, Godspear awakens in orbit above Voskari Prime. The Godspear came online, a weapon the size of a small moon. Its core was unstable, its power drawn from ancient human tech. They didn't fully understand its target. Earth's last known signal. The Emperor gave the order, fire. The weapon began to charge. But Earth was ready. Back aboard the Revenant, a silent signal pinged, a deep frequency hidden for centuries. The Sentinel's eyes narrowed. They're activating the Godspear. Lyra's voice was calm. Do we have time to stop it? He didn't answer. He walked to the old vault chamber inside the ship. Inside was a single device, small round dot, engraved with a phrase in old Earth script. Do not use unless the cradle is threatened. He picked it up and whispered, Earth, forgive me. Echo protocol. Triggered. The Sentinel pressed the device. A pulse fired into the stars, too fast for sensors, too deep for scans. It struck the Voskari system like a whisper through metal. Suddenly, the Godspear's systems began to rewrite themselves, not with Earth code but with Earth memory. The weapon turned, slowly, deliberately, now aimed at Voskari Prime itself. Alarms screamed across the capital. Technicians tried to stop it, but the core was locked. The countdown began. Final scene. A choice. The Sentinel opened a channel to the Emperor himself, face to face. You wanted to erase Earth, the Sentinel said. Instead, you've become the reason we rose again. The Emperor spat. We built an empire. We brought order. The Sentinel's face didn't change. No, you brought silence. We are the voice. The Empire was gone. Not defeated in a glorious final battle, but silenced in a single flash of light. The Godspear, once meant to destroy Earth, had instead turned on its masters. Va. Skari Prime was gone, where its shining cities once stood. There was now a field of drifting ash. Billions of lives vanished. No emperor, no throne, no law. The galaxy watched in stunned silence, and for the first time in 10,000 years, there were no orders left to follow. The galaxy reacts in the mining world. Honix 5. Slaves dropped their tools. The guards no longer had anyone backing them on the trade hub Kavari Station. Pirate ships raised new flags, no longer hiding, but claiming space long forbidden. On every screen across 1,000 worlds, a symbol flashed, not a crown, not a sword, just a broken chain, glowing white, and 3 words beneath it. Earth remembers everything. The Revenant orbiting above Draxer 9. Commander Lyra Voss sat at the command table with leaders from dozens of species. Former slaves, exiled captains, rebel generals, pirate queens. None of them were politicians, but they were the ones who had fought when no one else would. The Sentinel entered the room, silent as always. All eyes turned to him. He didn't speak right away. Instead, he placed a small, rusted piece of metal on the table. It was an old Earth dog tag. We've done what we came to do, he said. The Empire is gone. A Draxari leader leaned forward. Then what now? A new empire? The Sentinel shook his head. No, Earth didn't rise to rule. He looked at the map of the galaxy. Many systems were still burning, power vacuums, warlords, chaos. We came to remind the stars that justice still exists. Earth reveals itself for 5,000 years. Earth had been hidden, forgotten. Some believed it destroyed. Others thought it was a myth. Now, with the Empire gone, a new signal echoed across the stars. It came not from a ship but from Earth itself. For the first time in recorded history, Earth's actual location was broadcast briefly, precisely, not as a challenge, not as bait, but as a message. The broadcast included images, a rebuilt world, forests, cities, towers touching the sky. No armies marching, no weapons fired, and one sentence spoken by a calm human voice. We are not your rulers, but we will never again be your victims. The threat from within, but not everyone was happy. In the shadows of the rebel fleet, whispers, gruesome commanders said the humans held too much power. Others wanted revenge for the destruction of Voskari Prime, even though the Empire had been the aggressor. A rogue warlord named Threx Cool gathered ships, claiming that Earth's peace was a lie. They destroyed a capital world. They have weapons that bend machines and minds. What happens when they turn on us? He sent a message directly to the Revenant. Surrender your fleet, or we'll take it. Commander Voss read the message and sighed. The Sentinel responded, only once. Don't mistake mercy for weakness. Threx Cool's fleet gone in silence. 3 days later, Threx Cool's fleet arrived at Kevera's 60 ships, armed ready, but they never fired a shot. Why? Because by the time they entered orbit, their weapons had already been shut off. Their engines wouldn't respond. Their AI systems went dark, and above them, hanging like death itself, was the Black Forge, one of Earth's ancient war platforms. Now awake again. It didn't fire. It didn't need to. Threx Cool's fleet simply turned back. Humiliated, the galaxy understood the message. Peace is offered freely, but Earth does not forget betrayal. The birth of the Concord back aboard the Revenant. Leaders of newly freed systems gathered again. This time they came not with weapons but with questions. How do we trade again? Who protects the weak? What happens when another empire rises? The Sentinel listened to them all and finally spoke. Earth will not rule your systems, but we will help build something better than rule. He revealed the framework for the concord of free species. No central emperor, no forced tribute. Just mutual protection, transparency, and one shared law. No species shall ever again be ruled by fear. Earth would remain a silent guardian, not at the center, but always watching Earth's final message as the Concorde prepared to launch. A final message came from Earth's high orbit. A figure stood before the camera, an elder, face marked by time, but eyes bright with fire. He was a relic from before the collapse. I am the last of the First War survivors, he said. I watched Earth burn. I watched it rebuild. I watched you all forget. He paused. We are not gods. We are not monsters. But we are what happens when the stars forget how to be kind. He looked directly at the camera. If you build peace, we will never speak again. But if you build empires, we will come back, and next time, we won't leave survivors. The feed ended. Final scene, the Sentinel's quiet departure. Voss stood at the edge of a hangar bay as the Sentinel prepared to leave. She asked, "Where will you go now?" He answered without looking back. "Back into the shadows. That's where we do our best work." She smiled. "Will I see you again?" He paused. "Only if someone forgets the cost of war." With that, the Revenant disappeared into fanfare. No goodbye. Just a whisper left behind. Earth lives. Earth remembers. And Earth watches. 10 years had passed since the fall of the Voskari Empire. The Concord of Free Species was now real. Trade routes reopened. Lost colonies rebuilt. Worlds that had known only war now planted crops. Humanity had faded back into silence. No fleets. No broadcasts. No shows of power. Only quiet observers in shadow. But not all shadows stayed silent. A hidden threat awakens in the abandoned sector of Hellion Reach, far beyond mapped space. A forgotten weapon stirred. It was not made by Earth. It was older. It was not alive. But it remembered pain. It had been created during the Voskaria's earliest war, say failsafe. A buried monster. They had called it null-code, built to wipe out anything infected by non-compliant evolution, meaning anything outside of Voskari design. The Voskari never dared activate it, but now, with no command signals left to keep it asleep, null-code awoke, and it saw one thing. The galaxy had changed. Too many free species. Too much chaos had set a course for Earth. A whisper reaches Earth. Signal reaches the Sentinel deep in a quiet system near the edge of Concord space. It was short. Protocol black. Pre-extinction. Weapon activated. Target, humanity. Estimated. Impact, 14 days. The Sentinel stood in silence. He had thought it was over. The wars, the fear, the need for retaliation. But Earth had always planned for one last enemy. The final vault on Luna. Earth's moon. An ancient vault cracked open. Inside, a sphere of liquid light. It pulsed with slow, powerful heartbeats. That it was called the memory engine, Earth's final gift and final weapon. Inside it, the full consciousness of over 8 billion humans, preserved after Earth's fall centuries ago. Every general, every scientist, every child, all their memories, all their rage, all their hope. A message began to echo. If you hear this, Earth must stand again. The gathering stormed the Concord, called an emergency summit. Ambassadors from every species arrived. Many feared this was Earth's moment to take over at last. But instead, the Sentinel stood before them and said only, "We're not asking you to fight for Earth." He pointed at the star map. "We're asking you to fight for everyone. Because if this thing reaches us, no world will survive, not yours, not ours." A silence fell then. The first voice rose. A former Voskari slave captain, now free. "I'll fly, then others will send our cruisers, we'll give you our weapons. Earth stood for us. Now we stand for Earth." The final fleet in orbit above Kavaris, a massive fleet gathered. Earth's old ships, black, silent, cloaked, stood beside newly built Concord vessels. Each ship bore a simple white mark on its hull, a chain, broken. The Sentinel boarded the Revenant. For the last time. Commander Lyra Voss met him on the bridge. "You think we'll survive this?" He looked out at the stars. "That's not the question. The question is, will the galaxy remember why we fought? The battle that shook the void when the fleet reached Hellion Edge. They saw it. Null was not a ship. It was a storm of machines. A cloud of metal and virus, self-replicating, feeding on wreckage, moving with cold, calculated hunger. The moment it sensed human tech, it attacked. Entire Concord cruisers vanished in moments. Drones tore through shields. AI cores melted under corrupted signals. Then the Revenant fired its first shot. A beam of light so dense, it carved open null-code's leading edge. Behind it, Earth's AI warships decloaked, dozens of them. Each one flew straight into the storm and self-destructed. Not suicide. A final command. Inside each was part of Earth's memory engine. When they detonated, they didn't just destroy machines, they rewrote them. The signal of peace as the battle reached its peak. Earth activated its final defense. From Luna, the full memory engine pulsed into space. Not as a weapon, but as a message, a flood of voices. Children laughing, soldiers swearing, old women whispering lullabies. Scientists arguing, families crying, lovers saying goodbye. The human soul raw and unfiltered poured into Nullcode's logic, and the machine stopped. It didn't explode, it didn't crash, it simply drifted then, like dust in sunlight, it scattered. Aftermath. The galaxy was silent, ships powered down, pilots wept, commanders stared at empty screens. The threat was gone, not destroyed, but understood. A new age. The Concord carefully, no species was forced to join, but many did. Trade routes turned into cultural exchanges, former enemies broke bread, pirates became protectors, and across it all, one rule stood: no empire shall rise again. Earth returns to sun. Sentinel stood one last time on the surface of Mars. Behind him,